Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. This is The Spread. I am Cameron Tarrant. With me, as always, my esteemed co-host, SoCon, John Hooper, repping
Well,
the state flag hoodie. Man, I like it. I
yeah.
like the
I
video.
mean, if we're gonna be on video, I might as well represent, my state.
Hey,
So
absolutely. You can't see it, but on my shirt, I've got a little Palmetto State
yeah, there
emblem
we go.
right there. So, rocking the Palmetto State stuff today.
Yeah, I love it. I think we have the coolest state flag.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
my totally biased opinion, but
Yeah,
um, but I like it. So
absolutely, man. And what a weekend. Not the weekend people here in the upstate of South Carolina would have liked, but
well, yeah,
it's going to
for
be. I mean,
football.
just for football. It's going to be a wild spring season. If the first 2 weeks have been any indication of how this spring football season's going to go, it's going to be a wild one.
And that includes much of the top 10. I'd hate I'd
Yeah,
hate to be ranking the top 10 this week because we had what Eastern Washington lose.
yeah,
We had North Dakota State get boat raced by Southern Illinois.
yeah.
Um, that South Dakota State lost. Of course, that was to another ranked team, but uh, Furman got beat. Wofford got beat. Um, it's going to be interesting. What to see what the voters do this week
Yeah,
with the
it's
poll.
it's going to be a crazy week, crazy season of college football, college basketball. Man, who knows what's going to happen? Um, as far as conference tournaments, and then who knows what's going to happen once the big dance, finally comes around at the end of the month. Um, with the NCAA tournament, Clemson playing well. They're on a little winning streak in the
Yeah,
ACC. How about Baylor, man, losing their first game of the year,
yeah.
which was kind of surprising. Kansas knocking them off.
Tell you, man, they Kansas is looking. They're getting better. I mean, you remember a few weeks ago they weren't ranked for the first time since like
Yeah,
2011
I
or
think
something.
they're up to like 16th or something now.
Yeah, and now they're starting to. They're
Put it
starting to
together.
hit their stride.
Yeah,
Um, you're seeing that from some of the teams. Duke's didn't start out well, is playing better. Um, you're seeing North Carolina. With a win. I guess it was Florida State they beat yesterday or
I think so.
someone. And that's a good win. And then you got Michigan, who I think is playing some of the best basketball in the country. Big win, kind of a blowout fashion win over Indiana.
Yeah,
Um, and then you had a good one today, Iowa
anything can
and
happen.
Ohio State.
Yeah, anything can happen. I saw where Jay Billis the other week on College Game Day for the basketball edition. His pick to win it all is Michigan. He thinks Michigan right now is the team to beat.
They pass for me. They pass the eye. Like
They're
if you
good.
watch, yeah, they're good.
Good.
I mean, their big men are so they can. They're like like what like a a a baseball player, a 5-tool baseball player can do. They've got
Yeah,
big men that are similar to that. With they can pass, they can rebound, they can shoot. They're good defensively. I mean, they've really got a complete team, and um, a team that I think that they can have a number of different guys step up when somebody else isn't playing well. So
yeah,
they're a team, that I think that will make the Final Four right now. If I
yeah,
had to say.
yeah. No, they're really good. But John, I want to start out the show tonight. Football. We got we got a lot wrong. Um,
Well, we aren't the only ones.
yeah, we got a lot wrong this week in football, and we're going to go through exactly what we got wrong. Um, and we're going to start off with this one. We thought Wofford would beat Chattanooga. We were
Yeah,
wrong.
you're
Chattanooga
wrong.
absolutely.
And that was without Island Ford, who was
Yeah,
um, He was out with a hamstring, I believe. Chattanooga looked very good. Surprisingly good for apparently, just rumors saying that they didn't want to play or push it back to the fall again when they really wanted to play this past fall. They had their top receiver transfer out to Western Michigan, and then they go out and pretty much, from about 1 minute left in the second quarter, I don't know if you saw the game or not, but like there's a
I watched
punt.
a little bit of it. Yeah, I watched a little bit of it.
There's a punt right there, and for some reason he's fair catching it at like the 3, and he muffs it. And I'm like, why is he fair catching it in the first place right there? The punt returner. And so he fumbles. Chattanooga gets the ball, scores. That's huge momentum going into the half. And then from there, they just basically in the second half, I mean, they controlled the football game.
Man, I tell you, I did not expect Chattanooga. Look, we knew
they're pretty good on the offensive line. I mean, they returned all 5 starters.
Before COVID hit and everything, Chattanooga was going to be one of the favorites. I mean, there was there were a lot of good pieces and things, and COVID hit, and everything got canceled, and there was some things, players leaving, and the coach being a little outspoken on some things, and there was just a lot of going on with them. I didn't expect them to come out and do that, but maybe the week off, not having played VMI last week, and getting
that may be your SoCon championship game. They just got to find the time to play it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that helped Chattanooga out, getting a little bit of film on Wofford from their win over Mercer. So who knows, man? But Chattanooga absolutely laying it down on Wofford. I mean, I was not expecting that at all. Wyrick only threw 51 yards, whereas last week against Mercer, they threw for like 170 something. Weren't able to do that against Chattanooga, and they only put up 150 on the ground. Like, it wasn't what you typically think of with Wofford being able to run the ball. So Chattanooga's defense played extremely well against this Wofford rushing attack. And then on the flip side, I mean, Drayton Arnold coming in, playing well for them, throws 223.
He's got a good arm. I didn't realize he had that strong of an arm. To be not a very big guy, he can sling it. I mean, there were a couple passes in that game. I'm just like, man, he's got the zip on it. I mean, it's pretty good zip. So I'll be, I'm kind of intrigued now with Chattanooga because.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like, well, maybe they are good. I mean,
and like you mentioned, look, they didn't have one of their better players yesterday with 9-11 forward. So, like, who knows what this team's going to look like once
and they only have, I think I heard the announcers right by saying they only have 3 running backs active right now.
Well, I think only 2 played, Tyrell Price and Geno Appleberry.
Yeah, that's the only other 2 that are active right now, other than Ford. That's all they have for the spring is maybe 3 true running backs.
I guess you watched most of the game. I have no idea what happened right here. Gabe Boring has 1 rush for negative 23 yards. What is that about?
Okay. So they snapped it over the punter's head, Gabe Boring. And
all right.
he finally corralled it, back in. At that point, I'm like, they're leaving the door open for Wofford, But
well, and give Wofford credit, they hung in there for a little. It was close, but then Chattanooga sort of slammed the door there in the fourth quarter, and Wofford
didn't let Wofford back in it really.
No, they didn't.
I didn't look at the final stats. I did watch a lot of it. I didn't see what the disparity in total yards and stuff like that was, but certainly.
So total offense 301 Chattanooga, 199 for Wofford.
What were the passing numbers for Wyrick?
He had 51 yards. He went
passing.
He went 8 of 15 for 51 yards and a touchdown. Or excuse me, and an interception. And he was sacked 3 times. Their leading rusher was Lovelace, had 82 yards.
I mean, the two teams picked to win it seem to be struggling more on offense.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, it's not totally unbelievable for Wofford because I think they only have 3 starters back on offense.
Could be a sign of things to come. Spring some offensive team may end up.
Might be 3-2.
Yeah,
like that,
Delaware State game.
And yeah, that was a good game. In the fourth quarter, it was 3-2. I think
good.
Delaware State they ended up winning 17-10.
I think
there was an explosion of points in like the last 11 minutes there.
3-2 there for the while.
Yeah. I was like looking over the scoreboard and I was like, man, you've got to check this score out. It's 3-2.
Yes. It's amazing. But
maybe not as good as the 87-3 Nicholls State game. How do you put 87 on somebody in a spring season?
Nicholls found a way to do it, though. I don't even who did they play? It wasn't Lamar, was it?
I don't remember. It must have been a high school. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. But so that was one thing. We got a lot wrong yesterday. SoCon John, we got a lot wrong yesterday, especially in the Southern Conference.
It'll go along with probably the theme of the day.
Yeah.
which pretty much other than it was nice. Well, I'm trying to think. It ended up being nice weather. Other than that, I mean,
it was really nice weather.
Yeah.
So we got Wofford, Chattanooga wrong. We also got Furman wrong. We thought they would easily beat VMI.
I mean, it was 60-21 last year. And then, I mean, Furman had won like, what was it? 26 of the last 28 meetings or something crazy. But it's a game that you just have to. And I wonder that now. Like, I wonder how much that film study helped.
Yeah,
I'm not a football coach. I don't know, because it seemed like, at least viewing the game, both of those games, which I did view. I'm not a coach, but it seemed like there were some things that both Wofford and Furman weren't like prepped for, and that like both Chattanooga and VMI had scouted like easily.
And look, here's the big thing that really hurt Furman yesterday. You look at the stats and you just look at the box score and you think Furman, winning total yards and
time
of possession. You'd think they'd win this thing, but Hamp Sisson.
Do me a favor, and
Hamp Sisson gets sacked 9 times by a
look up how many sacks did VMI have total last year on the season? That might be a school. I didn't look, but it might be a school record for VMI. I know Clemson's is 11 against Furman, or it used to be. I don't know. It might be 12.
I'll see if I can pull up the stats here for VMI. But nine sacks in one game.
That's as much as some. Like, my point is, that's as much as some teams near the lower half of the conference would have in a season. And I don't remember their pass rush being very good last year. I just remember Furman doing pretty much whatever they wanted.
All right, so this says they had 20.
Okay. So they had half their sacks of last year in one game. In game one of
this year against what was supposed to be one of the better offensive lines.
Yes.
In the league.
Right. That's.
And if I know anything,
if looking at it from a maybe Clay Hendricks, that's concerning to me.
I mean, Clay, if anything, Clay Hendricks, if he's mad about anything,
yeah,
it's got to be that because he's an O-line
right.
guy.
Yeah. And, and because there aren't really that many other parts of the offense that you can highlight and say, well, they turned it over once. Other than the sacks, I mean, it was a decent game offensively.
I mean, Ham didn't play bad. He
No,
232. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He actually played really well, which was weird. Furman on 3rd and long.
or do they have one?
Really good.
Right. They were good. Which is kind of crazy because they were putting, on that last drive or one of the drives they had 2 long completions. One was like to Peterson and the other one was to DeLuca, I believe.
Yeah. I know DeLuca on the final drive right there had a huge reception on 3rd and long.
Good play, yeah. Where that kind of, I guess they ran like a slant or something.
Yeah.
And he got like 20 some yards on that. And then Kendall Thomas had a nice game. I mean, so there were certainly some positives, but
look, it seemed like, and Furman couldn't run the ball up the middle. There was no.
That's concerning. That's another thing because what VMI essentially, from my very layman's coaching view, was stacking the box and forcing Furman to beat them throwing it, and just really just taking a lot of chances. I mean, blitzing the house. They blitzed maybe like probably, 25, 30 plays in the game. They were taking a lot of chances too, because they'd have, 3 guys coming on one side. Well, somebody's got to be wide open if they're blitzing corners and
well, it clearly worked. I mean,
right.
They were able
but they were getting there so fast it didn't matter because Hamp didn't even know what hit him basically.
And the thing, and look, it 14-13. It should have been 14-14 going into overtime. Furman misses an extra point earlier in the second half. They missed that an extra point. But let's not kid ourselves. Furman had a chance. They are
they had the ball
under a minute to go. They're in the red zone, ready.
They were there with, they had a timeout in their back pocket, I believe.
Yeah,
they had. I think it was 3rd and 4, maybe at the.
I don't even think it was down. I think it was 2nd.
Okay, may have been. But still, it works. You run the ball there, take a timeout, kick the field goal. You're not taking away an opportunity by shotgun or throwing it or, put the guy under center. And for whatever reason, there was, I don't even know how, I don't know, like on snap infractions, I don't know really if that's a timing thing, if that's a center, if that's a quarterback. You don't really know. And those are things I might have expected to happen last week in the first game, rather than the second game. But it is. I think you just have to kind of, if you're the coaching staff, you kind of have to throw it away and be like, we'll see what happens against Samford, because I could be wrong, but I don't think there's going to be a team go undefeated.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
They might, but
you have Chattanooga only played 7 games.
Yeah, they're going to have to. We might be doing winning percentage again.
Yeah, much like the basketball regular season.
Go buy a calculator.
I don't know. It's crazy, but now Furman has got to try to turn it around and prepare for a team that just dropped 55 on Western Carolina in another game that we got wrong. Now, we both picked Samford, John, but we thought at least Western would keep it close.
They did for 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter happened. It was 21-20 at half, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then the second half, they got outscored. What was it? 34 to 7. 34 to 7.
It was 21 to 20. 21-20 at half.
So they basically got Furman to game 1 in the second half.
Yeah. And I believe Western didn't score their second half touchdown until late almost at the end of the third quarter.
Mhm.
And by
But
that
it
point,
was still like, well, I'll say it was like
41. It was
41.
41-27 at that
It
point.
wasn't completely out of hand at the end of the third quarter. But then, like, the
And
fourth
then
quarter, it
Samford,
just
yeah.
and then just they.
I tell you what,
What's surprising is the way they did it.
yeah.
The rushing yards and
Oh, Western
Samford.
Carolina has given up over 300 rushing yards in each of the first two games, which is just incredible. And then, I was really impressed. I watched a little bit of this one before the Furman game. I was impressed with Liam Welch and how he played in the absence of Chris Oladokun, which I'm not sure exactly why Oladokun
Yeah,
was
that
not
that was
brought in.
weird last year because Oladokum was injured for a lot of the year.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think towards the end of the year, Liam Welch started playing better, and they just kind of went with him. But then Oladokan, I think, started and played most of the game last week. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming since they lost that game, they're just going with Liam Welch.
And look, he played well. 26 to 36, 311, 2 touchdowns. I mean, you couldn't have
Yeah.
asked for a better. And he had 83 on the ground and
Mm-hmm.
3 touchdowns himself on the ground. So
Mm-hmm.
a big performance for Liam Welch. Jay Stanton had a big day running. That was the thing that they couldn't do last week, John, against ETSU, was run the ball. And they were able to do that. They were able to do that against Western.
Mm-hmm. ETSU made some good adjustments, I think, in the game, and kind of, on those first two drives, a large majority of them were against ETSU were running the ball, and then once I guess ETSU put some extra guys in the box, and forced Oladokin to throw it, and I think that's how ETSU got back into the game. But
and nothing against Western. I thought they played very well offensively. Ryan Glover actually played a really good game.
It was completely sort of the opposite of what you saw last week. Their offense played well. Their defense just seemingly did not. I mean,
which has been the story of Western Carolina.
Samford can make people look like that. I mean, their offense is so good. Traditionally, that they're tough to stop for anyone. So I'll be interested to see what happens at Paladin Stadium on Saturday. It's now a pair of 1-1 teams. How does Furman respond to us?
Look, in this shortened season, 2 losses in conference any year is not good. But when you're just playing conference only,
probably need to win out to get the out large.
And look, they're going to need to win out probably in order to win the whole thing. So Furman's already with their backs against the wall, and we're only through 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's something like this is not what we consider to be the tough part of their schedule. It's
which is concerning.
Yeah.
Because they still have Chattanooga, ETSU, Wofford.
Wofford, yes.
Still on their schedule. So.
Topsy-turvy season.
Yeah. Well, John,
you gotta give. I think the defense. I think you got to give them credit. They played well, really the whole game. That another solid performance. You only give up 14 points and 200 and whatever yards. You should win.
Next week with Samford will be a big test for that defense, and we'll see if the offense can get something going against them. John, in the fourth Southern Conference game yesterday, you got the pick right. You went with the upset. You actually changed your pick. You went with the Citadel, and then last minute decided you were going to go with Mercer, and it paid off for you. But I got it wrong because I said that the Citadel would be better than they played in the fall. And
they look.
Boy, was I wrong, because Mercer. Look, the score was actually closer than the game looked, because Mercer there for a while was absolutely.
They were just hammering.
Yes.
And speaking of I told you that they ran a lot of different stuff at you. Citadel had no idea the whole game. It wasn't.
Johnny was 28-0 at halftime.
Right, and like they were running. I mean, there was rarely a same formation in that game. Another really fascinating game. And I think I think Drew Cronick's probably going to get it turned around a lot faster than people think. Down at Mercer, and
Yeah.
we're talking about a guy in Carter Peavy who is, I think, making a second start, maybe as a quarterback. Maybe it's second or third start.
And look, he had a heck of a day. Over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. The Citadel went with Jalen Adams. I mean, they threw the ball 15 times in the game. I mean, it's not like they were 75 yards.
And that's probably they were chasing the game from the outset. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 28-0 at halftime.
I would have thought they would have thrown it more, but than 15. Considering they were down 28-0. But then I guess a lot of those were incompletions and you punt it away. But I was shocked to see it. Even me, I mean, even though I picked Mercer, I was shocked that it was 28-0 by the time I started watching it. I was like,
Yeah, I saw that score and I was like, "What in the world?" And look, the Citadel didn't play bad. Like they ran the ball well. They had over 300 yards rushing, which they like to do. Problem was turnovers. They had 3 turnovers in the game.
what's shocking to me though is their defense was supposed to be the strength of
Defense
this
was
team.
bad. Yeah, the defense looked real bad.
I mean, I felt like that you got the conference preseason defensive player of the year when they were going to play in the fall or whatever was Willie Eubanks. I guess he is for the spring too. Uh, and just give up what they gave up is just. I mean, they really didn't stop Mercer much at all.
No.
Um, did they give up anything in the return game? Just curious.
Did Citadel give up anything in the return game? Uh, Almost 100 yards of kickoff returns.
Yikes! Yeah, that was
On 3 kickoff returns.
right. That's well. The reason I asked that is that's something going back to last year that Mercer did really well. And you remember in the fall they had a 100-yard kickoff return against Jacksonville State.
Yeah, Ethan Deerham had one for 45 yards. That was the longest.
So that's one area that I think that Mercer really is good in special teams.
Special teams.
Yeah. So they were getting it sounds like they were getting pretty good field position.
Yeah.
Even after
and look, the Citadel put it on the ground a couple times. Jalen Adams threw away once. So some turnovers there also hurting the Citadel. But look, I don't know, man. I thought maybe the Citadel would play a little bit better than they did in the fall.
But the more we start talking about these other games, the better you feel about Furman.
I mean, Wofford looked bad. The Citadel looking.
I mean, half the league, no one. Let's see. Well, the Samford game probably, and every other game, the underdog pretty much. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess Mercer was under, but yeah, I mean, pretty much every game yesterday you saw the team that the underdog,
except for Samford, but I don't know. It's going to be crazy. It was not a good day for football here in South Carolina for the 3 South Carolina teams.
Nope. Yeah, that was one you don't see all 3 of them lose all that often, but
no.
All of them going back to the drawing board this week.
Yeah.
I know Furman's got Samford next week. The Citadel, I'm trying to remember who they play. Is it Western? Next Saturday. It's weird because having football in the spring, you're like looking at how basketball is going to finish up, and then it's just like, oh yeah, football happened yesterday, or like vice versa. It's just a lot of things going on at one time. Yeah. One conference race is ending and the other one's getting started. So, I know. See, Chattanooga. I'm not sure who they play next week. Like, really, I don't even know. I just know that Furman plays Samford.
Yeah. I'm not sure. either. But it's going to be. We'll talk about next week's schedule on Thursday. But John, one more thing that we got wrong that I just wanted to, just for fun, outside of the Southern Conference, nationally FCS. How about this one, John? Thought the reigning champs, winners of 39.
Yeah, you could be them today.
Winners of 39 straight games, haven't lost a game since 2017.
And just get hammered.
But we thought their in-state rivals, North Dakota, were the second best team in the state. We thought North Dakota State was the best team.
Nope.
How about North Dakota beat South Dakota State on the same day? North Dakota State just got absolutely hammered by Southern Illinois.
I feel like it was a day that North Dakota didn't get too many of those days like that. But
yeah,
if you could frame one in a picture, that's probably one North Dakota fans will.
The Fighting Hawks fan base right now is loving every bit of this.
Can you imagine what's happening on their message boards? And like they probably shut down North Dakota State. I mean, can you imagine that there's probably people calling for Coach Ince to be fired at North Dakota State?
Because of
I'm sure there's some like think about it, when Alabama has a close game or loses, somebody's always calling for Nick Saban to get fired. Or like something ridiculous.
Look, they didn't just lose though; they got absolutely beat down by a
team that lost last week to North Dakota.
Yeah.
Which makes it even
better. Yeah. Did they score last week against North Dakota?
I don't think so. I think it was like 21-0, or I don't remember, but like we both picked Southern Illinois. We just needed to wait a week on that. And the directional North Dakota.
It was 44. Last week was 44-21, and they got boat raced by North Dakota, and then go in.
Well, it makes sense if you look at the Youngstown State score.
25.
Remember how bad their offense was last week? Well, 0 this week. Zeros.
It was bad. It was bad this week for North Dakota State.
Do we think the Gateway Conference is the best conference in the country this year?
They're good. I mean, there's some good teams coming out of that conference.
But isn't North Dakota in the Big Sky? Yeah. North
Dakota. I think they're an FCS independent.
Okay. Somebody said that remember though, I think this is right. The Missouri Valley said that they weren't good enough to be in that conference. So interesting. Yeah. When the first 2 games are Missouri Valley teams and you just beat them down like that.
It says something.
I mean, like, at best, North Dakota's probably looking at that. If we come out of this 1-1, like a realist, be like, we go out and win our opener against Southern Illinois and then turn around and, play close to North Dakota State. Probably weren't expecting to, go out and just, play a respectable game, maybe lose by a couple points to South Dakota State. That's what I meant to say. But they go out and just basically handle business both weeks.
Let me ask you this. North Dakota State's got to turn around. They play Missouri State, who just beat Western Illinois, beat the Leathernecks.
Yeah, that's going to – I mean, it's not going to get any easier. That's the one thing is like it may not – you may look at it in any conference and say it's not going to get any easier, but it really isn't going to get any easier when you're North Dakota State and you've been the national champion.
Circle this date right here, March 20th, North Dakota in-state rivalry. That'll determine it all right there.
Is it North Dakota State?
March 20th. Be a great one.
There's probably people already camping out wherever the game's played.
And then April 3rd, we get the battle of the Dakota States, South Dakota State.
The Dakota Marker.
The Dakota Marker, yeah.
It could be a long spring.
Yeah, for North Dakota.
Dark swing for North Dakota.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a lot of things wrong in football this week, John, but especially in the SoCon, but thought we'd have a little fun there with
we almost thought Robert Morris was going to.
Dude, I forgot all about Robert
Thomas
Morris.
Jefferson, James Madison.
That was awesome. And how about Gardner Webb completes a second half comeback against Elon to beat the Phoenix.
You know who the coach is there, right?
Webb.
Trey Lamb is the coach
Yeah.
at Gardner Webb. Taylor Lamb, who is Bobby Lamb's son, is a coach on the offensive side of the ball, I believe. So the Lamb family, just up the road here in Boiling Springs, gets it done against Elon. So congratulations to them. And I'm kind of excited in a way, to see what they're able to do. Pretty young coaching staff from what I understand up there. And Gardner Webb, they've been good at spots in the Big South, but like they've been really not very good for a while. So it's kind of neat to see the Lambs get the opportunity to potentially take that program to a perennial team to beat in the Big South. I mean, Kennesaw needs some competition, right?
Absolutely. How about this one, John? How about Idaho? The Vandals got a
The
win
Kibby Dome.
beat Eastern Washington in the Kibby Dome.
Did you see the field goal in that game where they went to it hit the scoreboard and the guy's like, no good? And the scoreboard's like right behind the goalpost. Like
that's awesome.
And they were like, he's not even watching the field goal. He's fixing his mask, which I thought was kind of funny. He was actually fixing. He wasn't even looking at the football.
So. Yeah. All right, so we'll have a lot more football to talk about on Thursday. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully, we'll get some more things right next week.
Weber State played.
They did win. They beat. They killed Idaho State. I mean, they just dominated Idaho State.
Idaho State was 14-0 at halftime. I didn't see a final score, but
I know I haven't pulled up anymore. All right, John, let's move over to basketball. The Southern Conference regular season is over now. It ended yesterday, and not a good day for Furman on football. Not a good day for Furman in basketball. They lose 2 games, both one in football and one in basketball, by a combined 2 points.
Yeah. The team they're playing the first round of the SoCon tournament, they lost 74-73 to. Yeah. So, and then if they win and Wofford wins, they'll play a team they just lost 74-73 to.
Yeah, it was not a good day at all for for the Paladins. Here is what do a little bit of what head coach Bob Ritchie had to say after the game.
It's not. I'm obviously a little sad because it's hard to get to the point where you have a chance to win a regular season title. But we know in this league it comes down to next week. And, we got to regroup quickly. We got to learn from this. And some of the critical plays and the stops that we need to make late. We're gonna have to be able to do that to win a championship next week. But our grit, our fight, our toughness, our ability to just mentally stay into the game. I thought it was really, really good tonight. In fact, it was one of our best mental performances of the year, in my opinion. And but when you're playing, we're playing here, playing against a really good opponent. It's one of those situations where, you got one more play, ball don't bounce your way, and they get it. And you just got to regroup.
Just got to regroup is what he said, Dumb. Just got to regroup.
Yeah. And that's the way you got to look at it. And they played. I mean, just off the top of my head, they shoot 50-some-odd%. They play well enough to win. Only gave up 3 offensive rebounds, one of which turned out to be the game-winning points, which is the attention to detail you have to win a championship.
And it hurt because they're up by 1 with just
Noah Gurley hits a 3 with
20 seconds or something. Mm-hmm. Something like that, yeah.
Wofford misses a shot.
But gets the rebound.
Yeah, and I think it was Morgan Samford got the rebound and put it in. The freshman who's had a really good year for them.
Yeah.
And it was a tight game that you felt like there was a championship at stake, at least with the amount of stoppages to get sweat cleaned off the floor from where guys were diving around. And It was literally, I mean, those guys, should be there. I think there's a lot of guys that'll be sore today from
Yeah.
the effort and just
The physical
physical
game.
basketball game. I mean, there was even some words there at one point
Yeah.
between Noah and one of their players. I think it was I can't remember which player it was, but it's interesting to see. I think you got to see a little bit of that. You don't want to get it to boil over by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good to see two teams fighting for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, one thing that has kind of hurt Furman all year, bench production, had 5 points coming off the bench last night.
Yeah, I mean, in the scheme of things, I'm not as worried about that as it is like you've got to there's not I feel like when there's more of a margin for error between the top three, it seems like teams already know, like if you're playing ETSU that had 30 wins last year, you already know you're gonna have to be, not saying that Furman was locked in last night. I think it was just I think last night was just anybody can win this game. I felt a lot different about the first game between these two because I felt like kind of Furman got pushed around a little bit, and that's not something they really did all. Like and at times in that game they were the more physical team. I thought I didn't think the physicalness of the game was what lost it, and
there's a possibility these two teams meet for a third time in the tournament. So kind of wait and see. But one thing with Furman losing, UNCG went out, got it done against East Tennessee State, and they locked
good
up the
win.
32
points from Isaiah Miller, career high, I believe. Just very good player, and another player, like Noah Gurley, even though Furman lost, had 29 points. Big players step up in big moments, and that's what.
John, you got a lot of flack for putting Noah Gurley on your All-American list.
And see, he backed me up last night because
he played.
I'm pretty sure he reads. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure he reads Twitter. I'm just kidding. But nah, he went out and just really he had that locked in look on his face the whole night. And he there's a couple times I kid you not, and I was trying to get. He got off the bench one time and tried to put himself back in the game, and the coach, I'm pretty sure, told him to go sit back down. So, when you see that, I mean, that's that's player leadership at its best, I think. So, he I think one thing that Furman has going for it going into the tournament is a combined 254 starts between Noah Gurley, Clay Mounts, and Alex Hunter. I'm not sure anybody in the league has that. So when you look at it traditionally, those are the teams that win this thing are the ones that have more games and just more maturity. And obviously you got to be talented at the same time, but we'll see. Any of the top 6 teams could win it.
Yeah. And so with that, the regular season over with now, and we're set for the 2021 Southern Conference Men's Basketball Tournament, which is going to be taking place next weekend up in Asheville at the Harris Cherokee Center up there in Asheville. Just real quick, John, let's take a look at the bracket as it stands right now. On March 5th, we get the first round, Citadel and Western Carolina taking on each other. The 8 and 9 seeds, Mercer, Samford, will be taking on each other to see who plays Wofford. On the quarterfinals, you get a Chattanooga ETSU matchup, which is very intriguing. Those two schools do not like each other, John. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun one to watch. And then Furman, VMI, a team that just pounced on Furman the first time that these teams met on the floor.
Here's a fun fact. Those 3 of those matchups in one of the meetings during the regular season had a 1-point decision, and one of the matchups in the that's been set for the SoCon tournament had 2 overtime games. So
Was the
Citadel Western.
Chattanooga ETSU the 2 overtime?
No, that's actually Mercer Samford.
Okay, really?
Chattanooga beat ETSU by 1. I think it was by 1 at ETSU on a 3 at the buzzer by AJ Caldwell. Citadel beat Western Carolina beat the Citadel 76-75 at Western Carolina. And of course, VMI beat Furman 74-73 in Lexington.
Well, what I'm looking at right here, March 7th, John, if Wofford and Furman both win their quarterfinal matchups,
that would be another 1-point game. Yes.
There's an opportunity. Look, I honestly don't think UNC Greensboro has the path that that would lead them to the championship. Look,
see, I mean, if they win that first game, so Chattanooga or ETSU,
either one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really an advantage to play the 4 or 5, especially if ETSU wins that game and UNC Greensboro just played them. Really, I mean,
and look, what I'm thinking,
and had to go to overtime, and in that game it was a back and forth type game.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking of is you've got the winner of Western Carolina, the Citadel, that they'll have to face in the quarterfinals. Neither one of those teams. Look, Western Carolina may be the hottest team in the Southern Conference,
which is really weird, right? I mean, we all saw that coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
wow. And then the Citadel's not been any pushover this year.
No, I mean, you still have the top 4 teams that Furman, Wofford, UNCG, and ETSU, who you might be able to throw you can throw Chattanooga in there this year, but there's not that much separation between the top and bottom of the league. So I think the team that's kind of trending downward, I think ETSU's lost 5 of 7, but I could see them going all the way and winning it again. I mean, it's that kind of craziness.
All right, so give me one prediction. Yeah, you don't have to make your prediction of who wins the whole thing, but give me a one prediction. Is there an upset anywhere that you feel that's just going to brew that nobody else will see coming?
Furman over 1. I'm just kidding. Well, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go. This is gonna be crazy because I should not do this, but it's gonna be a crazy pick.
I'm gonna pull up the thing again here.
Mercer will go to the semifinals.
Wow! So Mercer's gonna beat Samford, and then somehow manage to beat Wofford to get to the semifinals. Who they play, Furman or VMI?
Furman.
Okay, so you got a Mercer Furman in the semifinals. Up above them, who do you got? You got Greensboro, or does somebody knock off Greensboro?
I'll go Western wins their game and then plays Greensboro. Greensboro wins over Western. And then I'm gonna go ETSU beats Chattanooga, and I'm gonna go I might go ETSU over Greensboro too. So we'll see.
All right. So you got a Furman. I'm gonna guess you got a Furman ETSU championship game. I like it. I like it. Look. I want to see Furman in the finals myself. If they are to get there, I believe that they'll probably.
I just think something crazy is going to happen. I mean, I figure Mercer getting to the semifinals is as crazy as any other crazy pick you could have.
It could very well happen. Didn't they beat Wofford in the regular season not just too long ago?
No, that's the thing is that, but both of them so the one at Wofford was 72-69. And it was relative. They didn't have their point guard Neftali Alvarez in the first matchup in which Wofford won at Mercer. But Mercer's one of those teams that just they're not playing well right now. But it would totally be in line with how the season's gone for them to go to semifinals.
If Furman's able to get there, I kind of believe they're going to face Chattanooga.
They could. but Chattanooga's going to have to beat ETSU three times in 2 games that have been very close. They could have gone either way.
Who knows?
So, who knows? I mean, like it's like
It'll be
throwing
crazy.
darts at a board, pretty much. You know,
Literally anybody outside of Samford could win this.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you, traditionally, I watch these things every year, and I'm telling you, it benefits the team. I don't like playing play-in winners for one reason alone: if they've already played a game, and that throws even the top seeds off. Furman last year with Wofford, that team is already. It doesn't. It gets 2 more. They get more tired as the second game gets there. But like the first game, I mean, seemingly every year it happens. You know, somebody either plays somebody really close or beats them. And so I'm just picking that team to be Mercer.
Do you know off the top of your head who the last 1 seed to win the tournament was?
UNC Greensboro, right?
Okay. I don't know. I was just asking.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, Wofford. 2 years ago.
Okay.
No. Last year, East Tennessee.
Okay, so they were the 1 seed last year.
Yeah. So yeah, the last.
But you've even
a better question would be when's the last time a non-top 3 seed has won it? It's like
it probably had been a long.
It's probably like 1989.
Well, look, you've said all season that you don't believe the winner of the regular season title will win the tournament title.
Right. Because of this year. Like, this is that 1 year. Like, it's not. Everything is different. I think UNC Greensboro is by far the best defensive team in the league. I just don't think they shoot it well enough for 3 days in a row. That's just my overall assessment. They play good enough defense to beat anybody in the league, so I could be completely wrong. But if you have to replicate that over and over and over again, and you're not going to shoot you're not going to hold the other team to 30% shooting every night,
right?
You know, in a tournament. So somebody's going to shoot it well. It's just whether they can match that. And I just have a hard time believing that they can.
They're going to be able to match that. I know. I get you. I got you. All right, John. So we'll have the tournament to look forward to on Thursday. We'll talk about some of those games. We'll look at the matchups, the first round matchups on Thursday, and then get ready for the weekend. And by Sunday next week, we should know something about who. What time is the championship game on that Sunday? You know,
it'll actually be Monday night at 7.
Oh, it's Monday night. Okay,
so we'll know.
We'll know who's going to play. Can make some picks on that on Sunday.
Hey, I might actually be up there. We could do the show from, or I could do it live.
Yeah, there you go. We could do it live. You could do it live from the Harris Cherokee Center up there in Asheville. That'd be awesome. That'd
be cool. I think a game will be going on. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Have it in the background. That'd be pretty neat. John, touch on a couple of things before we get out of here tonight. A really cool move by several players in the PGA Tour today. I don't know if you saw this. Several players today in honor of Tiger Woods and his, injury. A lot of players ended up wearing red and black.
Oh, that's really cool.
Tiger's famous for wearing the red and black on Sunday at tournaments. And so there were, most of the field was out there wearing red and black, honoring Tiger Woods and hoping.
And from golf, you would expect a classy move like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean the whole golf community just sort of it was a gut punch. I feel like to everybody out there on the PGA Tour, what happened to Tiger, and I know those guys are all wishing him a speedy recovery, as are we. But a really cool move.
Yeah, and I think
the guys up there.
As Americans, we're always we like a good turnaround story, and Tiger Woods fits that to a T, and no pun intended, but
Yeah.
But like, and now to have to encounter this, another setback like this, where all of us, I think, are pulling for him. So
Absolutely. So a cool move there. And then, John, how about this? Spring training, Major League Baseball got started. The Braves started their spring training today, and it started off the way that 2020 finished, with a loss. So
So you're saying that's not a good omen for things
not a
to come?
well, look, it's spring training. I mean, it's spring training. It is.
Who did they lose to?
Oddly enough, a team that was in the World Series, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
So
why not start off with it? Yeah. The team that they would have faced had they
beat Los Angeles. Yeah. Look, and they actually didn't play poorly. It was a 9-7 game. Austin Riley, third baseman, there had a good performance, 2 hits for him. Yeah, good player. Freddie Freeman actually not there. He's actually not going to be in spring training for a little while because him and his wife just had their second kid. So he is not with the team at the moment. But look, story of Atlanta Braves baseball pitching. I mean, that just was awful.
That's so bizarre. Like they can't get that right now. It's like for so many years that was their lifeblood, really.
Maddox, Glavin, and
Avery,
that whole lineup or that whole rotation that they had there. But it's good to see some baseball back in action. Spring training all through the month of March, and then the Braves get set. Their regular season starts early April on the road at Philadelphia. So we'll have a lot of baseball to talk about this spring and summer. Kind of keep track of where the Braves are and what's going on around the major leagues.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Just seeing how the teams manage stoppages and and they did a pretty good job. I think of the professional leagues, they might have been the first to kind of navigate it, if I'm not mistaken. And they kind of,
the NBA had the bubble.
Yeah, that's true.
But Major
League
Baseball,
like a large number of players, I guess.
But the Major League Baseball, they were the first ones to navigate it while playing the season at their own home stadiums. Just
right.
They were all at their individual home stadiums. They didn't do the bubble until the playoffs.
Right, the playoffs, yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It was funny. I think like Pittsburgh, I think like the Pirates had like 3 weeks off or something like that at one point last summer.
And the Marlins kept getting it too. That was pretty. And then they had that whole game where the guy from the Marlins had it during the game or something, and they had to come get it. That was good.
So baseball underway, but John, looking forward. We'll get back on Thursday, preview next weekend's FCS Southern Conference football slate, and get ready for the SoCon basketball tournament.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Big week of SoCon athletics and just getting really conference championship week underway. So we'll have not only the SoCon to talk about, but Big South, Atlantic, what have you to talk about.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of football next weekend, so looking forward to that. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed the show. Please go on to our social media, Twitter and Facebook, and like and follow us there. For SoCon John Hooper, I'm Cameron Tarrant. This has been The Spread.